DerbyNation.tv is your one-stop shop for your Demolition Derby pay-per-view needs. With a schedule like no other, you can catch all the shows you want to watch at the touch of a button from the comfort of your living room without leaving your house. But pay-per-view derbies aren't the only thing that they can get you. You can also carry a monthly subscription to watch the ever-growing Derby Builds, where you get all the behind-the-scenes action on different build processes with the Derby Builds team, including team show cars and even some national-level youth builds.
And if you can't make it to that big show in person, go ahead, host that shop watch party, and let DerbyNation.tv bring excitement of Demolition Derby action straight to your shop live on your TV. Ladies and gentlemen, Hard Nosed Derby Podcast. What are we talking about?
We started a little Madison, Wisconsin, little Badger national action last week. So let's go all up into that since we got to play a little catch up. Catch up. The world of social media, we have said, is good and bad at the same time. Right, you know, you don't want your kids sitting there in front of a tablet and shit all day long. You want them to go out and play and do whatever. I got text messages that were sent to certain people that I didn't even show you that makes me want to fight.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand that. I do think internet backlash in certain scenarios aren't horrible.
Correct, to a certain extent.
Well, here's my deal with that. I like the accountability factor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people that want these answers, I don't know. And I want to talk about this across the board, and not just UD or demo
mm-hmm.
or smash it or whatever. There's a lot of people that talk out of their ass
behind a keyboard.
When transparency is becoming a bigger deal in our sport. I mean, do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Drivers, fans, everybody, they're wanting answers.
Yeah.
Keyboards and Facebook sometimes aren't the best place to find those.
No.
I mean, I've fed into some of it, but I can't. I don't have a dog in either one of the fights.
That's correct. That's our job.
But I do think that whenever you type on there, or you post something or whatever, and it's a somewhat of a hard-hitting question, why not holler at that promoter?
Well, I think the problem is it's not questions, it's statements. They're not asking those questions that we or any other general public would actually want answers for. It's always assumptions. And what is the definition of assumption?
Well,
it is the mother of all fuck-ups. That's what assumption is.
Well, and we had somebody quote it on there the other day. They said, in the words of Stephen Adams, you know where assuming gets you. And I mean, they're not wrong.
Yeah.
You know, I see questions on there about, well, and with the guests that we're having today, I'm gonna ask them some of this stuff, because it'll get it out there in the open.
Yes.
We try not to put anybody on the spot, as far as, well, we do, because that's a lie.
That's how we started.
That's a fun.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but then we'd be like, but
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
So no, we do try to put people. We do put you on the spot. But that's what everybody's wanting answered, and I think that is the best way to clear it up. And if whoever we're talking to that we put on the spot, if they give us a bullshit answer and you don't like it, call them. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think that what they're saying is complete bullshit, get a hold of them.
Yep.
I'm usually pretty good at weeding through the bullshit.
Well, let's get into some
results.
Let's get into some results. So let's just start it. Super stocks. Was 176 cars were signed up. Roughly 76, 78 showed. We already talked about that. We also talked last week about a facility fighting back, which we're going to get a little bit more clarification of that today as well. Eric Blum, Eric Diemel, Chris Collins, Matthew Fawcett, Brett LaCroix, and Nathan Steele. That is your top 6. That was your last 6 running. So, when the facility
really close to $18,000,
$17,000 and change, and I don't think that going into that facility and that show that anybody was going to foresee this shit happen.
Right. No. Fuck.
I mean, we take 20 guys to a show and we're over the time limit, so they shut it down. We can't finish it. We can't do nothing with it. So we're all going to split 20 G's, which these dudes split over 100.
Okay, here's my hard-hitting question, I guess, for me. And I asked the fellas at Demo the same shit. What the fuck would have happened if everybody would have showed up?
Mm-hmm. You asked them. Yeah. So it already got moved from a heat, your class, and like Dale's class. They already got moved from a heat to a one and done. So these guys, what if 176 cars showed up? But then the format goes different. It was what the show was actually meant for with that format. And then they have to readjust. Well, hell, they had to adjust, then readjust, and then adjust again. So, man, $50,000. We've said it. 50 G's to win a derby, an individual derby. One is the biggest payout, to my knowledge, for a single show. Yeah. Not team setting, in a single show, and then a $25,000 Mad Dog that was given to Riley Mickelson, who drove
balls out.
Balls deep, balls out. Fucking jumping. What do you say? When a dude is jumping tires off the ground and doing nothing but trying to kill shots, that's what he was doing. He was hitting dudes and jumping on top of them.
Yeah.
So that is well deserved. But, Eric Blum and Eric Diemel and Chris Collins, 3 of the baddest dudes in the game. Any build, whether it's a mod build, whether it's a light wheel build, whether it's a street stock build, whether it's a bone stock build. And then you add, Nathan Steele, which we've seen him go balls deep to. Brett LaCroix, same way. These guys, they're well deserved to take home almost 18 G's.
Right. So do you think that this was a format issue?
No. I don't. I don't think it was a format issue. I didn't think demo was a format issue either.
Right.
Same.
Right.
But when you are so constricted on not so much a time limit or a time frame, but everything has to work in 100% unison for a show of these magnitudes of what they're having now to go flawlessly. Whether it's a duck on a pond, everything looks awesome as shit up on top. Right. They're not seeing the struggles that everybody's dealing with under that water. Man, I think it's just if okay, let's say they had 140 show up. That's adding roughly
70 more cars. Let's just say 70 more cars.
5 more heats, roughly, on the same time frame.
Right.
The only thing, and we will talk to the guest, one of the guests today about this, is that start time. Not the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But that's Saturday, that prime time and prime time. Derby Icons had to do the same shit when we started going over there. Show started at like 1 on Friday because there's a time frame. Same way on Saturday. It's running your consies early and then just a small break, get your shit cleaned up, and then come back for the features. Are we as consumers asking too much out of the promoters? Is that a thing? Is that possible?
Well, are they expecting too much out of themselves?
Or themselves? You said it might have been last week. Big shows have completely flooded the market. Right?
Right.
I mean, there's a fucking big show somewhere every month from roughly January to November. Where does it stop? I don't think it's ever gonna stop.
No.
Not until the sport is over and done with. How many times did we say every little small town locally wanted to have a derby?
Right.
Because they see something else work at some other town, but every other town thinks, well, man, we can make some money.
Yeah.
You can make some money. You can.
Uh-huh.
But you can also catch a bunch of shit for it too.
Oh, yeah.
So I know there's some hurt feelings out there, and I know there's some people that are not happy. A couple different scenarios of why they're not happy. We'll talk about later. But you can't. I guess when you're under the microscope and you're in the spotlight, there's a couple different people that can be crucified at the same time.
Right.
There's 2 in this instance in Madison. 1, they're trying to blame Chris Deflorian.
Right.
That he purposely fucked up the whole track for the whole first couple nights.
Right.
Just like last week, you said, do you think Chris showed up on that day and said, you know what, I'm going to make this track as shitty as I possibly can?
No.
They had to actually add on to the track from Friday to Saturday. Because of that format change, they actually added.
Uh-huh.
That is fucking crazy because I've never seen anybody make a track bigger during the show. We've seen them neck it down, but we've never seen them actually have to add length to try to fit the cars on the track that we're going.
Let's get somebody on that would know something.
Cool. We'll be right back.
Since Justin has been on board with us at Hard Nose, we have figured out how much Broadhead Decals means to the sport of demolition derby. His great quality parts are seen from coast to coast and everywhere in between.
But he can do more than just derby products. Your everyday business may need some pep in its step with new banners or stickers. And just give him an idea and let him run with it. Whether it's business related or just want to look badass in the winner circle, let Broadhead Decals work for you.
We do.
We just say we get somebody on
That knows something.
that knows something about something.
Yeah.
Chris Deflorian, DDW. What is up, sir?
How's it going, fellas?
Well, we figured we'd pester the shit out of you on this glorious day of rest and relaxation.
Yeah, it's all right. Ain't got much going on today. We got some pretty crappy weather happening up here, so hopefully it stays a little crappy and I can just have tomorrow off, catch up on some more sleep.
We're sitting here looking at the radar. Steven, you got to go to work? I don't know. I'm waiting on a text.
Yeah, it was even getting back to work last week was kind of rough, and had to go up to the cities and didn't get caught up on any sleep. And this weekend, there's always something to do at home when you're gone all week long working. So a little bit of rain, kind of. Maybe I'll get a nap in this afternoon before I leave tomorrow morning again.
Shit, me and you talked about this at Freedom Hall, dude. I know all too well what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's go build these tracks, and then I think a lot of people think this is all I do, or that's all I do. Maybe I don't know. It's hard to say with some of these people on social media nowadays. It's a kind of just a second job that kind of came, not even really a job, just a second thing that I was hoping it to be fun, and now it just turns into lately it seems like you're 18, 19 hours in a skid loader trying to make it perfect for these guys. So it's almost like some days you're like, geez, I should just stay at work.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up. Let's talk about it. I mean, I know you spent most of last week trying to make sure that Madison's track was as fucked up as possible. Or at least that's what everybody on Facebook's saying.
Yeah, when the first two loads we got wouldn't come out of the box, and there was like grass in it and shit, and I called this Lucas we were getting it from and said, God, send me more of that. Could you please send me? This stuff is perfect. I love it. I want to work with it all week long. So yeah.
That's what I was telling Derek. I was like, I guarantee you Chris was like, man, I hope they send me the most fucked up dirt as possible because I want this track to be terrible.
The first load he sent, I dumped it right outside on the parking lot. I'm like, I don't even want it. Go back and told that driver, and I called Lucas. I'm like, I don't know what you got going on, but I said, we don't need berm dirt right now. I need to get this floor done first. Yeah, the first couple loads are wet. It'll get better. Well, I think we had 13 trucks hauling to us, and out of them first 13 loads, we kept maybe one or two in the floor, and we were shoving them to the sides for berm, and like I said, put one outside, and kind of fought that for a little while. We got about a quarter of it done, and this was on Monday afternoon about 5 o'clock, and I called Lucas, and I'm like, this ain't working. I don't know if you're loading, who's loading. They're just, we were finding frost chunks in it. They weren't, we had made it pretty clear I wanted stuff that was 10 to 14% moisture, and try to keep the frost chunks out, and then that stuff you could haul the following day and we can throw it behind the berms because it don't matter. But I think he was a little confused. We've had that issue before. Peoria the first year, ICCI was kind of the same way. They thought, they thought they had the right dirt. They brought it in, and we fought that one all week. And then them, after seeing it, the next year was perfect. We treated it and stuff like that. But, going back to Lucas, some of these guys just don't realize what a derby car will do to a track. Like you can use it to build a road and it'll be fine, but if it's not perfect, you're going to fight it all week long.
Well, that's what I've tried telling these people before, because that's what I do. Me and you talked at Freedom Hall. I go look at dirt all week, every week. That's what I deal with. And a lot of times, that we end up with shit work or shit dirt. You know how that works.
Oh yeah.
All dirt is different, and people don't realize that dirt changes from where you're standing to 3 steps ahead of you. It can be something completely different. And what we've learned on these big jobs, these highway jobs and stuff, is we follow Mount Carmel a lot. They come in, lime stabilize all this dirt and stuff, and it's so that we can build a base. Well, you don't have that. You don't have Mount Carmel that can come in there, till this dirt, lime stabilize it, roll it down, wait 3 days, trim it, and then wait another 7 days before you can start working it. You don't have that.
Well, no, and we don't. It's a time-sensitive issue. We've been pretty lucky out at Gold Rush the last couple of years to just nail it. It's been, personally, if I could just build the tracks in the fall of the year, it'd be awesome, because usually our dirt's pretty good. This in the Midwest, this time of year, you don't know what you're getting. Friday before the Monday we started hauling in, it rained. We had 6 inches of snow in Caledonia, which is just straight west of Madison the way a bird flies, 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. Well, they got rain. Well, when it only gets to 30, 40 degrees during the day, or 45, 50, and it don't blow and the wind's not on, we can't dry it. He couldn't even, he went to some different pits and we tried to get through, and I knew right away it was going to be a battle. It was good fatty clay. It was just too wet. So we worked on it. And that was, the other thing I fought too, and everybody knows Sam fought him, is the arena. That Madison Alliant Energy Center, Monday night, they kicked me out of there. And they're like, you got to leave. We don't have anybody here to watch, to keep the building secure. I'm like, I'm in these things all year long. They usually just give me a key, and, I walk out a little service door when I'm done, and we leave our equipment in there, and we come back at, 5:30, 6 in the morning and start again. So, I kind of fought them guys a little bit in the beginning, trying to dry it out, and it was just, we got dealt the cards we dealt with. We tried to make Monday night, or not Monday night, it had been Wednesday night show as good as we possibly could, and it just, it just didn't pan out Wednesday night. It was just so wet.
Well, because our listeners, and I'm assuming it's the same way with the people on Facebook. I try not to call them dumbasses, but when people speak on something they don't know, that's where it almost gets a little personal to me. It bothers me. Get a little deeper into that, just to explain to these people, like whenever you say you're trying to dry that up, I don't know if they think that you can go in there and keep moving that shit around and they think that it dries out. They think you can put a big fan on it and it dries out. That's not how dirt works.
No. And
if you overwork dirt, I mean, I know just as well as you do, if you overwork dirt, you pull moisture out of it. It brings moisture out of dirt. And that's what, kind of get into some of that with the people that listen, and maybe this will make it to Facebook where these other people will understand how that stuff works.
Well, the biggest thing is sometimes when it's at a certain moisture content, the more you try to roll it, the more, you're just almost making it worse. It's just like I tried to explain to some guys that don't understand it. If you got a mud puddle at your house and your kid's playing with it, driving around in it with his little four-wheeler, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It doesn't dry up and not just disappear. It gets bigger and bigger. Well, that's kind of what we had going on there. The more you kept playing with it, the more we were trying to dry it out. It just seemed like it wanted to just get worse and get wetter, and we were trying to bring the moisture to the top and use Sam's fans and dry it out. But the biggest issue is you got a concrete floor underneath it, so there's absolutely nothing to suck the moisture out. It's just, I've had arenas, even in Kentucky, that dirt was pretty decent, really good. As we worked it's almost like it pulled some moisture out of the concrete, like humidity out of the concrete, because it got to where we thought we were going to have to add a little water before the show because of dust. Well, I drew it all up to the top, and it was sealing right up perfect. So a lot of it is, it's just inside a building, you don't have the sun, you don't have the wind. We tried to accumulate the wind with all these fans and try to dry it out. And Tuesday morning I got up and I called 4 concrete plants trying to get a load of fly ash or Portland cement to till in, and they wouldn't deliver it. They wouldn't. For one, a lot of them didn't have it. It would have took till Tuesday to get it, because they don't just have it sitting around in a semi-trailer. And the other issue was the arena. They did not want to come there and even blow it outside on the ground so we could grab it because of the silica dust and OSHA and being downtown Madison. And I had one contractor say he won't even do any work for the Alliance Energy Center just because of the bad deals he's had with them. And I personally found that out this week or last week being there, that they're a one-track mind. This is how it is. This is what you get to deal with.
Well, and that's what I was talking to Derek about, and I was reading some of these comments that I seen on the internet, and I said, there's like, well, he's over-rolling it. I said, he's trying to get rid of the moisture. You brought dirt that was cold and wet into an arena that was warm and dry. Well, I don't know if everybody realizes how that works. You warm cold dirt up, and guess what happens? Moisture.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like you said, we've finding frost chunks. Not big ones, but
it don't matter.
it don't matter. They start melting. They just bleed out into the stuff that was maybe okay. Well, then when you're trying to roll it and get it to lock tight, and then the truck's just driving on it. And if I could go back on it, I would have maybe built the berms first, because the truck's driving on that floor the second day building the berms kind of made it worse. So it's kind of like, I fucked up there, where I try to use them trucks to pack that, so it just gets harder. Usually you can use them trucks to your advantage. Well, it was just one of them things. So we were, and like I said, Lucas just didn't understand it as much as I thought he did. I think he knows dirt, or he knows, like I said, he can probably build your road, probably build you a building pad, come in and build you a pond and all that kind of stuff. But we were halfway through it, and I said, this stuff still ain't working. You got to find me drier stuff. And all of a sudden, 9 loads of a sand, clay, silty mix that was like powder shows up. So we shoved that all the way to the north end of the track and used that for berm. So it was just like, from the get-go, it was...
You're fucked from start, dude.
Nothing was going right. And, I get a kick out of these people on Facebook, and I've been one of them guys on Facebook back in the day. Well, this is bullshit, whatever. I'm not trying to say I'm perfect by no means, but, some of these people that think, I'd like to see them come do it. Come put your name on it. Come out and try to tell me or tell other people you're just going to do this when they won't let you either. Like like I was saying, the arena fought us, could only be in there certain times, and just... it's just it seems like them first year events with some of these arenas, and they're just not keen on it until they see how much money the Derby people spend. Then they want you back, because of the concessions and all that. Well, we do make a mess. We make a mess everywhere we go, between the dirt, the carbon monoxide, all that stuff. So it was just, some of these people that want to sit there and, whatever, say what they want to say. Try it. Come and try it. You can call me. You can come with me to the next show and run a skid loader for 15 hours a day. Stay up till 2, 3 in the morning. Get back up at 7. Like Gold Rush, I didn't keep track of my hours at Madison just because we were so fucking busy. But Gold Rush, I kept track of my hours last year, and I had 96 hours in a skid loader, or 96 hours messing with the track. Trying to maintain that thing for 6 days. Yep. It's not really building it. It's building it back every day after a show is what takes so much work,
Because these fuckers don't realize, say a street stock is roughly 65 to 6,500 pounds, and most of them have 500 plus horse. Do they realize what they're doing with a 23-inch tire is annihilating? If they went out on concrete, they could fuck up concrete in a week, more or less dirt.
Yeah, I even think, of course, I got concrete and asphalt around my house, and fucking around with derby cars once in a while, and spin the tires on the asphalt, and it almost starts, them skid loader tires will start peeling peeling that wear course off the top, and you get down into the rock a little bit, and it looks like exposed aggregate, or that skid loader tire is meant to turn on a little tractor or skid loader at 8 miles an hour. Well, on a derby car, who knows with some of these guys? You're spinning 7,000 RPMs out of the motor. With the gears, some tires got to be doing 180. I don't know.
A lot.
They're just that's what a lot of people don't get, and getting back to Madison, it was just kind of first year event, first year hiccups for me, and I don't want that. I want to go to a show, build the track, and sit and watch it. I spent the second 2 nights standing on a goddamn airboat for 7 or 8 hours blowing fucking air into the building because the event center worried about carbon monoxide. They were only checking CO2 levels. They weren't checking to see what the oxygen levels. We were blowing so much fresh air in there, and they were, it was just one of them things. It was miserable, flat out miserable. And then you get home and I try to stay off of social media a lot. I'm not really on it. My kids run our DDW Facebook page. They run our TikTok page just because it's fun for them, but you see some of the stuff, and then you start getting text messages Monday morning, and you're like, fuck this. I'll just stay home.
I'll
go watch it.
Yeah, that's what bothered me is when, we were talking this week and you sent me some messages that you had gotten through like text and shit, and I was like, the gonads on these people that are sitting behind a keyboard won't have the balls to say it to your face, but they'll damn sure send it to you in text. And then you turn around, try to call them, and then they chicken shit and won't answer.
Yeah. I only tried calling, like I was telling you, I only tried to call one of the numbers back, even texted them back, hey, answer your phone, let's talk about this. I mean, and I had a guy kind of search some of the numbers, and the funny thing, one came up as like non-registered to anybody, so it could have been from an app, one guy doing it from an app, maybe not even his numbers, I mean, or one came up as a burner phone, but I'm thinking, somebody went out and bought a burner phone to text me? I mean, come on.
To talk shit to the dude who built the track?
I thought about texting you and just telling you sucked. I mean, because that's what everybody else was doing.
And, it's just, I mean, it almost makes a guy just want to be like, I don't have to do this at all. I make more money a week at my job. I won't piss my boss off being gone. I was in Florida in February for a week. Was just a couple or 3 weeks ago out in Kentucky for 4 days. Then now in Madison for a week. Well, he's not really thrilled about me being gone all the time. We're still, we're doing sewer and water work right now just because we can in the winter. But I can go sit at my job and go to my hotel room at 7 o'clock at night and take a shower and eat something and be sleeping by 8:30, 9 o'clock and wake up the next day and feel great.
So it's
kind of like you look back at it and you're like, what the fuck's the point of this? Why even do this?
Me and you talked about this at Freedom Hall. I told you you're fucking nuts.
I am. I'm sure my wife will say the same thing. You're fucking dumb putting these hours in and trying to do all this, and and it doesn't.
Because I don't know what they pay you, Chris, but it's not enough.
I mean,
I don't give a shit.
Some of them, I went down to Siopa's track in Florida, and I didn't know getting into that what that was going to be. Like, we're talking 20% clay, 80% sand. How the fuck do you make that work?
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't. You park the skid loader, you go get a drink with an umbrella, and you go sit on a beach somewhere.
Yeah, so I mean, to have that turn into that was a 1 day show. A 1 day show, and we started on that track on Monday. During the day, me and another guy, that JC Motley, that Steve has help him. He's from Florida.
Oh yeah, JC Motley's, yeah.
Yeah. So it was just me and him, and then my kids were there. They were running roller and stuff and whatever, messing around. But we had a lot of time in that, and I we brought the Portland cement dust in, tilled all that in, and put a car on it that Friday before the show, and I'm like, holy fuck, it worked. Like. I was just talking to a soil stabilization engineer that we deal with, and he's like, just try this, it might work. And I'm thinking, Steve's spending $11,000 on this load of fucking Portland. If it don't work, it's my ass for telling him it's going to work.
Correct.
So it was kind of the same thing there, it was did the edges start breaking apart? Yeah, we couldn't get rolled right to the concrete blocks. Next year when we do that track, we're going to build the whole floor 1 foot wider, 2 foot wider, roll it all in, then put the blocks in and bring the dirt back around the blocks. We learned from that one. And the people, like, who in the fucking right mind thinks they're going to turn sand to concrete?
The only people that I know do that, they own plants, and they actually do that. They add some rock with it.
Yeah, and they pour it on the ground, and exactly.
And then they finish it, and it's fucking concrete.
Yeah, so, it was kind of even, I had a couple guys even down there, after it was over, bitching and pissing and moaning because the edges started falling apart. Well, fucking stay away from the edges. Whatever happened to bringing extra tires or working on your car a little bit to adjust? 15, we went to Blizzard Bash, and I was on a team and ran with Jeremy Blake and some guys, and before we went out there, we took our smaller tires off, and I ran a set of chewed up 715s on the back just because it wasn't perfect that year, and I never got stuck.
So I guess what you're telling me is from Florida to Kansas to Wisconsin to Kentucky, the fucking dirt's different?
Yeah, it's a lot different. It's not all the same. Yeah.
Not all dirt's the same?
No.
Weird.
And if there was a way I could haul the shit from North Dakota, because that stuff is just unbelievable, and somehow put it in a big building at these arenas where it was controlled and not have to spend, $1 million, I would start doing that for these drivers. But I don't have $1 million to haul good dirt around to all these shows and try to make it perfect.
Well, I walked that track at Gold Rush, and I don't know what that is, but that is like dirt that I've never, we don't have that dirt here.
No, that shit's like concrete.
It's just it's a hard pan. I mean, we did some work, not out in Rapid City, but I've been out in western North Dakota, and you'll tear a scraper blade up, and you're putting a new cutting edge on it once every 2 weeks. It's so abrasive, so hard. I mean, even that track, people, if they came, if certain Derby people could stand in there and watch me build that track, or if there was more of a time lapse, I bet you I put 10,000 gallons of water on that thing to get it to lock together.
I mean, to get that dirt here, I mean, you are in shale by the end of it. You are on shelf rock.
Yep.
Whenever you get close to it, and there's never very much there. So that's what I try to stress to these people, because trust me, we built all of our tracks. I 100% went in and built our tracks.
Yep.
And we had some that were super badass, and we had some that
were shit.
Yeah. And
I get it. We've created a standard, or I've kind of created my own, let's say, fucking demon with this. Where we went to Florida. For years prior in Florida, you'd drive out on the track, and if you gave it gas, you sunk down. You were stuck. So we went from a completely unusable track in Florida to something that was, I would say, 75% usable, by the end of the show. Next year we want to have it to 95%. Kentucky, Freedom Hall used to be a complete and utter joke. Robbie went and spent the money, talked with this Ron Christensen Excavating lots, and they understood it. They hauled us the right dirt. Madison went there, and Luke didn't really, I think, understand exactly what we needed, because maybe he's been to the local county fairs around there, or I'm not 100% sure that I needed the right moisture content and this and that, and it also rained Friday. So there was just, Madison, for me, there was just a lot of variables biting me in the back, and I'm not creating excuses why the track was the way it was. I mean, we couldn't get Portland in there, so Sam brought in a semi truck and got it on the ground and got it tilled in. So he went and bought 5 pallets of mortar mix, that has the highest concentrate of Portland. Well, me and 2 other guys, Josh and this Jeff, we broke open every bag into a skid loader bucket. My other buddy Nick went and sprinkled it around, and we started tilling it in. So the second night of the show was a little drier, and everybody's like, why is it so dry? Well, I'm trying to get the cars to work that dry shit down into the wet shit, because we couldn't get it deep enough with our tiller, kind of thing. So there's always things like that where people, I mean, it's good to have ideas. It's great to have ideas. I was trying to use the cars to get that dry shit mixed down into the wet shit, so then we maybe get something. Halfway through the show, it wasn't working. I looked at Nick, my buddy that was came with me and was running the skid loader. I said, get the shit off of there. Just when we go out there to level up, let's just scrape it off and throw it over the berms. And then it started getting a little better, and then even on Friday night, it seemed better. It was usable. If you busted a spindle off, you struggled, but most guys weren't getting stuck like they were the first 2 nights. Well, then Saturday we went out, leveled it up, kind of scraped it down a little bit, and I'm like, let's just leave it. Let's just not even touch it. We got through last night, but it just seemed like the more we fucked with it, it just got wetter. So I'm like, let's just leave it. Well, then somebody had a bright idea to put a couple blocks on the lull and try to wheel pack it, and it rutted it all the fuck. And I'm like, oh man, that ain't good. Because they, it's just one of them things. People, come up with ideas and shit like that, and so then we're fixing it again. It's just like, let's leave it. Let's just leave it. We'll get through Saturday night. It's got some compaction in it. It's just wet. It's too wet. We've been fighting it all week, trying to dry it and doing everything we can. And then I also had other drivers come up to me and say they loved it. That's the track they wanted. They didn't want Gold Rush Hard, you know.
Gold Rush Hard breaks some shit.
Yeah. I mean, even Muse has told me.
Yep.
He sells tons of parts at Gold Rush because it's so hard and it busts ball joints and tie rods. And, I mean, you didn't see 8 or 9 cars, or let's just say if there's 20 cars out there, you didn't see 7 or 8 of them with busted ball joints.
Correct.
You know, they were able to slide around a little bit, and there was a little giveness in the track where Gold Rush, I've had Tori Hyde bitch 2 years in a row to me that it's too hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's too fucking hard. It's too fucking hard. So it's like, what do you guys want? Like, where's the happy medium?
Some of them would bitch.
So.
Dude, some of them would bitch if their ice cream was cold. It just wouldn't tell you that.
Yeah.
They will on Facebook.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I try not to go on there, and I'm not saying I haven't bitched at people before. I was texting Robbie during Bristol, and I said, hey, you got to get that sawdust, wood chips, whatever out from underneath it, because you're not packing against anything hard. That's why you can't get that red clay to lock up.
Packing it into a sponge.
So, I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. We just try to show up and do the best we can with the cards we're dealt. I mean, Madison was, in my opinion, a complete and utter fucking shit show. I'm not going to lie about it. There was nothing that went our way for building that track all week, from the dirt being too wet to the arena bitching that we were in there too late, or we couldn't be in there, to not being able to get fly ash, just everything in general. It was just a complete and utter shit show on my end.
Well spoken. I mean, you didn't sugarcoat that shit.
I don't know how else I don't know what somebody can bitch about whenever you say stuff like that.
Correct.
I mean, I joked about it last week. I was like, Chris didn't show up and was like, I'm going to fuck this track up. That's what I'm going to do this week. That's what I want to do. Fuck them. And fuck this track all the way up.
I mean, for when personally, for what, we get paid. I brought a buddy with this week that's moved a lot of dirt. He was laid off. And he doesn't derby. He's not a derbier. He's watched a couple here and there, come around when I've derbied back in the day, but like he's not into derby. And this guy's single, no kids, no nothing. He works. There isn't a dozer as much as possible. That's his life. And he's like, there ain't a fucking thing we can do with this for what we got. For what we have, there's nothing, he even knows. But like he even said, he goes, I would never fucking build one of these things again if that's how people are going to be. He's like, fuck that. He goes, I can stay at work and make $3,000 a week. Why the fuck would I come here? And I said, well, usually we build the track, we're done, watch the derby and drink beer, fix it at night. The next day you get up and you don't have nothing to do, so you get to drink beer and hang out with everybody. But I said, you just came to one of the worst fucking shit shows in the world.
Yep.
Where the dirt was shit from day one. And we just didn't, he went to, Lucas, like I said, he went to a couple different pits and tried to find drier stuff, and it just wasn't what we needed. And I, honest to God, don't know if there's any good clay around Madison that time of year. Like, I think you're going to have to treat it on site, then haul it to the arena, since they won't let us do it there. If Sam does decide to go back there, or he has me come back and do it, but that time of year, you could get 2 foot of snow the week before.
Oh yeah.
You could have 4 feet of frost. It's just, it's starting to snow in Caledonia right now, and it's freaking April.
Yeah, keep that shit up there.
Yeah, you just don't know, so unless we can stabilize it on site and haul that foot in, and then, just do that. Yeah, maybe it'll work. But I just don't know if you'll ever get Gold Rush Hard there, because they don't allow us to stabilize it in the building like you can do at Blizzard Bash or other places where they're allowed to treat it inside the building. So it's just one of them deals. It can be done too, but what promoter wants to spend $70,000 on a track?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's the other thing people don't understand. You know, that dirt, to get them to haul with 13 trucks, well, there's $13,000 a day just in trucking, because they're 100, just for easy math, $100 an hour. 13 trucks at 10 hours.
Yep.
Well, 2 days of that, then they got to haul it out also on Sunday. Well, you know, it's $50,000 to build a track nowadays, and people don't realize that. Like, you can't. Some guys physically can't spend another $25,000 to stabilize it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to fight what you got. You know, you try to find the best shit you can and just deal with it.
Yep.
And like you've said, I've said, I did not want that. I don't ever want that. I want to go there, build the track, and drink beer and hang out with the guys I only see once in a while at them shows. You know.
That's what was nice about Freedom Hall. We did finally get to step back and drink some cold beer.
Yeah. Yeah, Freedom Hall went really good. You know, but a one-night show. You know, even Florida, that went well. You know, Gold Rush is, like I've even told Sam, I said, if it's getting to be where, you know, now you know what Gold Rush is, and if my cost to be there just to do the track when you have skid loader guys there, I said, it doesn't matter to me. Gold Rush is a no-brainer. I mean, that's a pretty easy track to build.
Well, brother, I know that we were kind of picking your brain here on this day of rest, but I just wanted to tell you how much we appreciate what you do for this sport.
I still think you're a dumbass, but
yeah, I am. Fatty. Me and Fatty were even talking the other day, and he's like, "Dude, I don't know why you do it." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Maybe I should just come be on Track Shot Live and walk around and fall down, and we can make content that way or something, or, you know." But, you know, I've had a lot of guys call, you know, even Chris Collins is one of them. You know, we were talking, and he goes, "Dude, don't be done doing this. We need, you're the only one that actually cares if they're right. A lot of guys will just give up and walk away."
Correct.
You know, so,
well,
you know,
Steven,
I don't think we're not just going to quit doing this. I mean, it's just, there's going to be different ways about it from now on for me.
Mm-hmm.
Personally. Like, I either need to put my hands on the dirt if I got to fly somewhere and look at it prior. That's just how it's going to have to be, because it's hard to explain to these guys that are hauling it when they hear Demolition Derby and they're not around it and don't understand it or don't ever been to a national event. You know, a lot of these guys think we come out of trailer parks and we're, you know, whatever. You know, it's sad that it is that way, but,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Half those cars, or well, over that, all those cars that were at Madison were cost more than the fucking dump trucks that were bringing that shit in.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just not 100, you know, I'm going to be completely honest and say it, like, the guy that we got the dirt from, I'm not blaming it on him, but I'm also not 100% sure he had a clue what I needed when I was talking to him. Because, you know, he brought me 9 loads of silt sand mixture that he thought we could pack and use in a floor, and no way possible. And then I got a phone call Sunday after we had left from getting the blocks out, because I was ready to go home, and he was scooping the dirt out. His fucking loader runs out of fuel. I mean, what the fuck? You bring your loader to a job and you don't have any fuel. You know, he brought it on the low boy, so he didn't have his truck in there with a transfer tank. And wouldn't you fill that fucker up before you come?
You would think.
So, yeah, it was just, you know, I'm not blaming Lucas. You know, he did the best he could with, I think, what he had for material personally. But just on the other hand, it was kind of like, maybe we need to find a different guy.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, you know, or I don't know. And honest to all truth, if Sam does go back to Madison, I don't know if I'll build a track there, just because of the people in the building that I dealt with too. You know,
Correct.
They were,
Correct.
you know, and Sam dealt with it on the oxygen or the CO2 levels. I mean, I'd like to know what the CO2 levels are in some of these other arenas, because their standard was fucking retarded, in my opinion. But that's here nor there, not for me to really get into. But I have a hard time going to work somewhere for people that don't want you there too.
Yep.
It ain't worth it.
Well, brother, man, we appreciate you. Like I said, we appreciate you getting on with us, taking the time out of your day. giving us some insight. Maybe these keyboard warriors will listen and actually understand a little bit of what's going on. And we will definitely catch you on the next one, my man.
Sounds good, guys. You guys have a great week.
Later, Chris.
Buddy. Well, there's that.
He took the joking pretty good, actually,
Well,
for what you're doing. You know what I'm saying?
Me and him talked at Freedom Hall.
Yep.
But motherfuckers do not realize what dirt is, what dirt does.
Mm-hmm. He did it on purpose.
Well,
I'm gonna fuck your whole week up, dudes.
yeah,
On purpose.
yeah.
Stupid.
I think ODB said it the best. God made dirt, and dirt will bust your ass.
Some of these people are going like, "Who's ODB? Who's ODB?
Old
Odell
dirty
Beckham Jr.? Come on now."
Old dirty bastard. I'm just saying that I've talked about it. I make a living moving dirt around.
Yep. Yeah.
I want people, if I know that almost everybody now, you can call the wrong number and end up with a skid loader. Go get that skid loader, pull out in your front yard and spin that motherfucker around.
Mm-hmm. Wide open.
Yep. Spin
I'm
it around.
talking wide open.
And
Full
don't
throttle
turn, don't
on the
do anything.
rabbit.
I want you to go straight around the circle.
Mm-hmm.
See what it does.
What kills me is
Well,
that
then I want you to take that, peel all the dirt or all the grass off top of your yard.
Mm-hmm.
Or even do it on a spot. That'd be fine. Do that. And then I want you to go down a foot, undercut a foot after black dirt. Put dirt back in that, pack it, and make it where you don't tear it up again.
correct.
Tell me how you get along.
What the problem is that I have is that, you know, a couple years ago before COVID, we talked about it. Sumner and Jason and all them guys went down to Florida and all of them got buried. There wasn't a whole, Facebook scrutiny wasn't there. The year that everybody was flipping at Freedom Hall, that track scrutiny wasn't there. Oh, it just happens. So now you get a guy like Chris to come in and do what he has done to these tracks so good. The wrong material for one time, you all think you're fucking his reputation because of something that he really didn't have control in. Like I said, I have screenshots of text messages and all this shit.
He can't carry the dirt for those tracks
No.
in his fucking pocket.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. We've seen it at Blizzard Bash.
And there is not a 100% cure-all when
No.
it comes to that. Mm-mm. If there was, every track would be perfect every time.
Yeah, trial and error. That's all you have, trial and error. You know how to build a road. You know how to put the dirt down on a road. You know how much compaction it needs. But you also know how much water it might need.
Do you know how many times that I've went from Kansas, building a road in Kansas,
To Missouri?
and knowing how all that shit works, knowing what we need to do, when we need to add water, what we got to do as far as compaction and all that shit. And we've got a guy following us that's testing compaction.
Mm-hmm.
Tells us moisture content and shit. Now, they send me from that job down to Arkansas. Everything changed right there. 100% everything changed. You cannot take a drop of numbers that you were running in Kansas and acclimate them into what you're doing in Arkansas.
And then you have to turn around and come to Missouri.
And that dirt changes every 3 foot.
He's being serious, dudes. That's what's bad. Well, we've got a little something for you this week. We have never done this. We have 2 guests. Guest number 2 is ready.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back again.
Triple B's Tees offer custom shirts and logo designs for all your apparel and merchandise needs, offering a variety of shirts, hats, hoodies, tumblers, and koozies. Triple B's will work with you one-on-one to personalize and perfect your logo. With over 5 years in the business, 20 years in the sport, they live for Demolition Derby.
Chunk and his crew can bring your imagination to realization with zero limitations. So for all your badass tees, choose Triple B's. So this is number 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, there's been a whole lot of internet bullshit, is what I call it.
Correct.
And we figured we would get 2 of them that have been under the microscope real hard this week.
Yep. Sam Williams, what's up, Bubba?
How are you guys?
We are good. Dealing with a little weather right now, but you know how that is.
Yeah, Upper Midwest. Know how it is.
Well, let's get right into it. We talked to Chris. Fought the track in the facility most of the weekend.
Yes and no. It's so in Demolition Derby, we have a standard that we set. If you take a look at tracks 10 years ago, it was.
Mm-hmm.
we 100%. I wish you could have heard what we just talked about, like before we called you, because we just talked about that. Florida before COVID, track was junk. I mean, I'm not saying it nicely. You didn't see the backlash then,
as you do now.
But I love the fact that we hold ourselves to a higher standard. So we're holding ourselves to a higher standard. The fans have a higher standard. The drivers have a higher standard, and they expect you to hit it. But I have never seen a first-year track ever be perfect. It took us 4 years to get it right at Blizzard Bash. It took us 3 years to get it right at Capital City Carnage. Gold Rush is just an anomaly. I mean, Gold Rush is just, the dirt out there is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Peoria, shit the first year, second year, hard as a rock.
Yep.
So until a dirt guy sees it, you can go to any dirt guy in America and be like, hey, we need good, hard, dry clay. And they say, yeah, no problem. Got tons of it. This poor dirt guy, he ended up digging from 4 different spots to try to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
His trucks were running as far as an hour and 10 minutes one way trying to find this good dirt. So I think for what we were given, and the sample that we were given, of course, was 2 months before that. Where frost was still in the ground, he had a pile, he can make it work. Well, once the frost starts coming out of the ground, and you got 3 feet of frost, it's a different set of challenges. But yeah, no, I thought by Saturday we had it in really good shape, and no, Chris and his team did a really good job, and it was all hands on deck to get it done. But we all took our turns driving skid loaders and packers and airing it out, and we added 20,000 pounds of product to it to try to get it to bond a little bit. So I guarantee you, we did not have one driver complain. So everybody can complain all they want to on Facebook, but most of them weren't there. So
then I think none of them were drivers. They were all fans.
Yeah, drivers were all good. I mean, we did not have. If you ask any driver who was there, they'll tell you our crew did absolute everything we could to give the best show we could, and paid out a ridiculous amount of money.
Yep.
So, I mean, when you pay out $245,000 on a first-year event, it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
It is. Let's get into the show.
Yep.
Was the facility and the action everything that you was hoping it was going to be portrayed to be?
Yes and no. We knew we were going to have a learning curve with the facility. Dane County is tough. It is a tough county because it actually voted a red state this year, but typically it's a blue state, and this is the blue capital of the blue state.
Yes. So
it is, and I'm not getting into politics. I don't give a crap. Don't matter to me. But it just comes with different standards.
Mm-hmm.
We can fill buildings with whatever garbage we want to in some cities, and some cities don't really appreciate that. So
yes,
it's crazy when everybody said, man, the ventilation was horrible. Actually, the ventilation is better than we've ever had, ever. The numbers that we were getting blow away most indoor facilities around America. But the problem was, so if you take a look at the carbon monoxide parts per million, when I used to run a show a little bit further south a long time ago, we would see numbers in the 5, 6, 700 range.
Okay.
These guys wanted us to hold at 119. And so it's to hold at that level, your household meter goes off at 100. So really, we wanted to be able to put cars indoors, but hold to a standard that is almost unachievable for cars indoors. So the nice thing is we learned a ton. I mean, I have $70,000 worth of fans now sitting in a storage shed.
Well, Sam, you had a fucking fan boat.
Yeah, that was night number 3. But again, night number 2 was good because we had good wind. So, I mean, the facility having a north-south airflow was fantastic. The problem was we started fighting a cold front coming in on Saturday that just could not make up its mind which way it wanted to blow the wind from, either north or south or straight out of the east. So we fought it a little bit, but yeah, when they said, hey, you need to go find fresh air or you're not running Friday night, I spent all night Googling and everything else. And Chris had said, hey, they have these fire fans. Chris Deflorian had said, hey, they got these fire fans out there that push a lot of air towards a fire. And it was interesting, as I was Googling those, one of them came up as an airboat motor. And I said, holy crap, that's it. So I called Nick Celeste in the morning. I said, bud, how far is your airboat sitting away? And he goes, I only live 30 minutes away, but it's sitting about 2 hours away. I said, you want free vending for the weekend? Go get me your airboat. And so, yeah, that poor airboat ran at 3,000 RPMs for God knows how many hours. But
yes.
It did good. I mean, we had 50-mile-an-hour winds coming to the door.
I'm going to stop you there for just a second, and I want to put into perspective kind of what you said there to our listeners that don't really understand, like the
CO2 type of stuff.
CO2 type of stuff.
Yep.
With the job that I work, whenever we do sewer pipe or anything like that, or 36, 42-inch pipe, those are numbers, what you were talking right there, that you read from a confined space with one person in it.
Right. Yep.
That is almost unachievable with the crowd exhaling alone.
Not even counting the cars.
Right. So you've got 2 million cubic feet of air in that room. And what carbon monoxide did is it displaced the oxygen, right? So when we pumped oxygen back into the room, fresh air, that's the goal. So when I asked them, I said, what's our oxygen content in the room? They said, we don't measure that. And I said, well, you have to measure that. That is the indicator if we are safe in this space. And so they had a learning experience. We had a learning experience. But yeah, so when everybody's like, the ventilation's garbage, I guarantee you 99% of people come out of that event and a lot of people have called me and said, dude, I felt amazing on Monday. Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, yeah, that's because the levels have never been seen indoors in demolition derby before over 4 days. I mean, Gold Rush, we can get really close to that because of the jet engine on top of the building. But most of these other indoor facilities are just ignoring the fact of what those levels are. So that's what it's caused us at Ultimate Derby to say, okay, was it a bad building? Was it a bad standard? Or does the derby sport need to adapt and try not to fill these buildings with God knows what all we're filling them with? So we keep talking safety. We keep talking about driver safety. Nobody ever talks about fan safety. Yep. So it's a huge initiative for us going forward that we are going to have a standard. And I mean, I've looked up what the Chili Bowl standard is. They have a standard that when it hits this number, you have to take a 10-minute break. It has, all these different sports have these standards. Demolition Derby does not. So it'll be something that Ultimate Derby will hold themselves to a standard going forward. And now we have the fans to do it. We have the fans to push in a ton of fresh air. We can get it out if we need to. And it's going to raise our level of professionalism, and everybody sitting in the stands are going to feel a lot better on Monday morning.
Well, Sam, I'm just going to need you to start planting trees while you're building the track.
I know. Dude, it was nuts. I'd never dealt with anything like it before. I felt sorry for them because, I mean, the staff is like, bud, you got to work with us. We're going to get shut down. You got to work with us. We're going to get shut down. And again, we're sitting there and, you know, my Chris Williams is standing on the berm going, Dad, we've never had it this clear, ever. And I'm like, I know, son, but we got to work with the facility. And so the facility worked with us a lot more than we thought they would. We worked with them as much as we could. And at the end of the day, we all learned a bunch. Would I like to go back to Madison? Absolutely. Our crowd on Saturday night was absolutely amazing. But there's some things that we have to figure out. I don't think you can put any more than 12 cars on a track. I don't think you can. You know, there's certain things that we're going to have to do to be able to hold that standard. Because once we got down to 10 cars in any class, with all the fresh air we had, zero problem. We held less than 100 the whole time. So it was a good learning experience. So, yes, you could say we fought it, but I would say it was a much more of a learning experience than anything for us.
Well, you just kind of answered what I was going to ask, because I know the world of Demolition Derby and social media and whatnot. They all have their opinion. I think a lot of these guys were asking, hey, you know, with the issue at the Alliance Center, with, you know, the staff issue, the dirt issue, is that something that you guys would actually go back and try again? Or is that going to be maybe one of those cognitive decisions of trying to find something else?
No, I think it'll be, you got to remember, that building setup, you have less than 6 buildings in the United States that has that building setup. And 4 or 5 of them are in areas that we could never make work. You know, Boise, Idaho does not work for us. So, I mean, that setup is worth the investment to make it work. The crowd there Saturday night is worth the investment to make it work. Now, am I going to put teams there? No, I will not put teams there next year. It would be let's try this again with a fun one and done. I got a few things up my sleeve that I would like to put there after we have our debrief with them, and make sure that they're happy, we're happy, everybody wants to move forward. But it was, a Demolition Derby is a very tough, it's a tough event. Even I talk to the guys in Rapid City all the time, and Craig and I, who's the GM out there, we chat all the time, and he's like, Sam, your event is not an easy event. You're dirty, you're messy, but man, your crowds are amazing. Correct. He said it just takes us a long time to clean up our facilities after you leave. Not that we're trashy. It's just we cover everything in dirt.
Oh yeah.
And smell, and I mean, you cannot get the carbon monoxide out of the building for weeks. So it's just that exhaust smell, the trannies blowing, the tires burning off. You know, so it's a messy event. So you got to find the right staff that wants to work with us. And you know, it's easy to buy an established show and say, hey, you know what, we're just gonna copy the playbook that's been here forever. That's great. Mm-hmm. But when you go and try to create something new, I mean, it's a big investment. But at the end of the day, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Okay, so your guys' plan was actually Gold Rush was this year of 2025 was going to be a singles event minus maybe like a bone stock team show, something like that. And then Madison of 26 was going to be your full-fledged team show, and then Gold Rush would be your singles events. Yep. This is going to really damper that plan, isn't it?
It is. We've talked to quite a few of the teams. We'll put teams back at Gold Rush, and they're all okay with that. You know, it's interesting. You know, we're trying to work with the Gold Rush facility to see if they'll let us come to the spring. We've been asking for a while. Their spring is just very, very busy. So I want to put a one and done back in Madison, regroup, and then figure out how we get. Teams will be going to the spring. I'm just not sure exactly how that's going to look yet, but we are. I mean, all the teams appreciated us trying it and investing as much as we did to try it. Mm-hmm. You know, would I put a $50,000 to win show in a new facility again? Probably not. You know, one and dones would have been just fine. Yeah, one and dones would have been just fine.
Because
it was a good show.
I'm sure that all these keyboard warriors are really, since they're talking shit about, you know, the show got shut down with the final 6 in the street stock show. But they don't ever talk about splitting the entire payout. They don't talk about each one of those guys getting roughly $18,000. The only thing they say is, well, there's no true champion.
Well, and again, there's no true champion of an unestablished show. So, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, there's no true champion of Badger State Nationals for the first year ever. You know what I mean? So it's like, if this was, if we were Gold Rush champion number 5 or Blizzard Bash champion number 7 and there was no true champion, yeah, that would suck. But I guarantee you, every one of those drivers that got $17,916, not one of them is complaining. I mean, they all walked away and went, yeah, I mean, it would have been fun to finish it out, but we would have gone another hour. And, I mean, at the end of the day, we all made a lot of money. And you got to remember, we wrote $40,000 worth of checks just for guys to make the feature. And we added, because of the track, because of stuff, we added another 5 or 6 cars to the feature because we had to split the consies. We fought it all week. But Ultimate Derby just kept paying. And so if you made the feature, I don't care if you were an add-on. If you made the feature, you got $1,500. So I think we wrote $40-some thousand in just feature qualifiers. So I mean, it was probably one of the best payouts the country's ever seen, and that format had no business being there until we were more established. I really wanted to try the format, and we should have just thrown it into Gold Rush, but now we know that it wouldn't have worked there either. So we're trying different stuff, but at the end of the day, Gold Rush will be teams. We'll put teams out there. We got some fun stuff that we'll be announcing this next week with all that. And so, yeah, but we never took any registration for Gold Rush. No hotels have been sold yet. So Gold Rush can make their adjustments where they need to.
Well, so I guess what would it have looked like? And I mean, everybody can sit around and what if. What would it have looked like had you had all the cars show up?
Well, then we would have ran the format we wanted to, and I think it would have looked great because we would have had 10-car heats. Everything would have been 10-car heats all the way to the feature. And then the feature would have 20 cars in the feature. So
you think that, honestly, it probably would have helped with the timing of the situation?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it would have. We scrambled to change. We changed the format the day of because 110 cars didn't show up. And we knew we needed at least 90. 90 was the magic number that anything less than that, I cannot make Friday night work. At 90, I can make Friday night work because we had to advance 50 cars. So if you get 76 to show up and you advance 50, your heats on Wednesday night and Thursday night are nothing. I mean, it's like we're advancing 7 out of the 10, or we're advancing 8 out of the 10. You take out 2 cars, everybody advances to Friday night. And so because it had to go from the original number down to 50 for Friday night, down to 20 for Saturday night. So if we would have gotten 90, we had at least gotten to have enough to where we could take half the heat, could advance, and we had enough to derby on Wednesday and Thursday night. So the format will work. We have to have the card show. I can't imagine, 110 guys walked away from a $500 entry fee.
Yeah, that was, I guess, my big deal on the whole situation. How, I guess, what are your thoughts on that? Like, what causes something like that to happen? Because Derek and I have talked about it. Like, that is a hit for me. Like, if I was to pay that entry, why wouldn't? I mean, what changed?
Well, I think most of the drivers were there to watch. Again, putting that big of a format into a brand new facility and a brand new brand new format. We were going to use time clocks. I think everybody gets excited. You got to remember, we took those entries in June of last year. So everybody gets excited and says, absolutely, I'm going for the money. And then as it gets, either family happens or whatever happens. But when you sign up for an event 8 months before the event, I mean, we counted on losing 50%. We were pretty solid that we would lose 50%, and it would go down to about that 90 number. But to lose 60%, every big show right now is losing 50%. Taylor and I talk about it at Derby Icons. Metal Mayhem lost 50%. We've lost 50% of Pecatonica. I mean, it's just where the nature of the beast is right now. A lot of guys have a lot of ambition, but life's tight right now. So, I mean, they want to come run. They get excited to come run. Life puts a little bit of a squeeze on them, and if you got to cut out, I'm going to cut out my Derby card before I'm going to cut out my mortgage payment. So,
Bingo.
I mean, they have to make tough decisions right now.
No, that's fair. Like I said, I'm really enjoying that. Everybody, all these promoters are, not just you guys, everybody, the transparency that we're finally getting from all this, whenever you're asked a question, it's answered. We asked Chris about the track and he's like, man, at the end of the day, it fucking sucked and we did what we could with what we had.
Yep.
Yeah. They came in wet. I mean, and no offense to the dirt guy. I mean, to him, hey, man, this is the driest clay I can find in Wisconsin. It's great. After the event, he was like, okay, now I've seen it. Now I know what the hell you're doing. This is crazy, number one. Number two, I got you. So, I mean, he's even said, hey, I'll pull all the dirt out in between June and July. We're going to put it on a high spot. We're going to treat it as it comes in, and we're going to put a silage tarp over the whole thing. So, I mean, he's got a plan now, and everybody gets a plan on year two. But, it's old Mike Tyson saying, everybody's got a great plan until you get hit in the mouth.
That's right.
And so, and we'll be transparent. We made our mistakes. I mean, we definitely made our mistakes. But, what I love about it is when I have drivers' wives giving my kids hugs and crying with them at the end of the event going, hey, you guys did everything you could. I'm telling you guys, I have not worked that hard at an event since, like, Boiser Bash number 2. So it was a lot. It was a lot.
Well, what's the next on the plate for chopping block, sir?
Yeah, so next we go, we have Pecatonica next, and then we do Ottawa, Iowa is going to be awesome. That's one of the most fun county fairs. Then Chris and I go out. Yep. Then we go out and help at Heber. Heber's going to be an amazing team show out there with Wasatch County. Chris and I just go out there and help with that one. And then we're off to Gold Rush.
Well,
So
I'm already
Gold
off.
Rush is going to be good.
I'm already off for Heber. So should see you there. I guess I'm going to have to use the rest of my vacation for Gold Rush again.
Gold Rush is going to be good.
I have to go back to Gold Rush. I missed it last year, and
We're not going to bring koozies, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. Tell them keep your koozies at home, boys. That's hilarious.
But, man, Sam, we will let you get back to your Sunday. We appreciate you getting on here and answering the harder questions.
Sure.
And maybe that'll clear some of this stuff up from the Keyboard Warriors on Facebook.
All I'd say is just don't give up on Madison yet. We're going to do everything we can to make it work. But I'm telling you, that venue, that building, that everything is so far different than anything else we have in the Derby sport. It absolutely could change our sport in a good way. We just got to find the right formula for it. So we're excited to try it. We love a good challenge. So, we appreciate all your guys' support through our good shows, our bad shows. And, I guarantee you, we don't get on Facebook. We don't do a lot of that stuff. We put our heads down. We learn from it. I mean, I got 3 hours of calls this afternoon to go over what were the failures, what were the good things, what were, from the We Crash side, from the Ultimate Derby side, from the Derp side. So we have all those calls every Sunday just to make sure that we're growing and doing what we're supposed to. So hang on. It's going to be a fun next couple of years.
Brother, man, we appreciate you.
You bet. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for all you do.
All right, buddy.
There you go, man. That's the part of my job that I like. And I've started calling this a job because it's really not what it was when we started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many calls and stuff I got asking me about what they were doing, what happened and shit? And I'm like, I can't answer that, but I said, I'll try to get you some answers.
That's all we can do. If we're not there physically getting those answers while we're at that show.
Right.
Just like Freedom Hall.
Uh-huh.
We were there. If there was any question, guess what?
I could clear up some shit.
Fast.
Because, like I said, you aren't as jumpy aroundy as I am. But I'm everywhere. Whenever we go to that stuff, you usually find your spot, and that's where you're at. You don't change your formula much from show to show. You never know. I might be in the Raptors at some point.
I was looking at the second level.
Yeah,
I guarantee you.
You just never know. But I get into the thick of it whenever we do that stuff. And there were some questions I had that I got cleared up right there. transparency, man. Everybody is holding all these guys to certain standards now.
Yes.
And I think it needs to continue that way.
There is what I would call, okay, we were just talking about carbon monoxide. Well, in my opinion, if a facility is measuring the carbon monoxide, how in the fuck aren't they going to measure the oxygen?
Well, and they're, like I said, we do some confined space stuff. I've been through all my OSHA training and shit. I'm serious. What the numbers he was talking about? Not saying that Sam lying to us or anything. I don't 100% know what their standard is. I don't have their regulations in front of me. Mm-hmm. But the numbers he was talking about was for somebody in a confined space, single person, and can get,
with no airflow,
right, and can get to that number by exhaling. So it's like anything. You put enough of something together, it's going to stink. You know what I mean?
Man,
can't be any worse than that dude that was in that panel van. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's like, that's cool. I said, there's no air in there.
Yeah, he's going to die.
There's no air in that vehicle.
So, thanks, Sam. Thanks, Chris, for getting on. Guys, we are moving in to springtime. It is now April.
Yes.
The next big show.
Spring X, baby.
We have completely forgotten. This airs Thursday. Next weekend, Spring Extreme, Yuba City, California.
Spring X.
Track Shot Live. They'll be out there. So, the driver's list is kick ass for those guys. On that West Coast where you can get that. I think maybe Troy Tagg might be on there, and maybe some Brian Horton and some of them other guys out there. And I know that Miss Caitlin Wilson is going for her three-peat in the youth class to get her shot too.
And something a little different.
It was a lot more sexier than the last one. Because you had a lot of comparison with what you took to Bristol to what she took to Extreme last year. So we will for sure be watching that, repping the support for them guys out there, because we got a lot of listeners out there.
Oh, yeah.
Then you got Spring Hillbilly Bash.
Yep.
In Ohio is next weekend as well.
Winter Slam was last weekend.
Yep. DerbyNation.tv will be at Hillbilly Bash. Spring X. DerbyNation.tv will be there. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I don't have enough vacation time. I don't have enough bank account room. We just don't have enough time.
All of our loyal listeners, though, will be excited about this. We did just place another hat order.
Yes, he will be calling when those come in. And we're getting ready to launch a little... You guys need to pay attention to Facebook.
Yep.
Because there is going to be a waffle that is going to go on. Let's just give them a kind of a little what's up.
It's going to be a little bigger than the last one.
A little bit?
Yeah. More of the square body wagon range.
Yes. When we have close personal friends that want to see us succeed, they'll go above and beyond to help brothers out. You know what I'm saying? So this waffle that we were talking about, pay attention. It's going to run for 1 month.
Yep.
No limit spots.
Mm-hmm.
We will announce how much it is per spot, but we're going to run it for a solid month.
Yep.
So I don't think anybody will be disappointed of what they get when it comes to that point.
And the opportunity that you will get when you go get said car.
Because more is for sale.
Yeah, and he will make a trailer load for you when you go get it.
Yep. So, dudes, thanks for this ride.
I would say look for it within the next week.
Yep. Yeah, next week.
We did do a little sponsorship stuff.
Yep,
You went and took a ride.
took a ride east. Guys that support the shit out of us, and I have since we started. We've taken care of them the last couple of years with
We
some
usually
stuff.
try to hook them up with some safety shit.
Oh yeah. First year was a helmet.
And he wears it proud.
Yep, it's kind of fuckered up right now because I think he got a
Little
roof. Yeah, the last time. But yeah, guys, JM Race Engines had a hell of a time at Madison. Sold quite a bit of stuff. I believe he's going to be at some other ones. I know he's going to be at Border Wars coming up. He is not going to be at Spring X, but he will be at Border Wars. So they'll get you all hooked up. Chunk. Keep them shirt orders coming in to him. He'll keep sending you some badass stuff out. Same way with Justin's badass door decals, door wraps, and roof signs. All of it. So let's let Steven get to work. He's got to take the 2-hour drive.
3.
He's going, son of a bitch. We're still waiting on some tales from the trailer.
Yes, come on, guys. Come on.
I know people have reached out and said they were going to send them, but we just haven't got them yet. So, brother man, got any last words?
Nope.
Make junk, boys. JM Race Engines is a new business in north central Missouri that have you covered from top to bottom for all your engine needs. Purpose-built engines with the correct amount of clearance will get you to the end of any show, whether it's your local shows or on the national level, where you can't be let down by your equipment. With top-level professional machine work to all engines, your choice of build is totally up to you. JM Race Engines will give you the confidence to push your equipment to the max while giving you your preferred horsepower to boot. From LS builds all the way to your exotic level small blocks that your imagination can only dream of, they have you covered.
But it doesn't stop there. They are also a speed shop that carries a variety of heads, carburetors, intakes, plug wires, helmets, and other safety equipment, and the best VP fuel on the market today to take you to the top. So if you're wanting mild build to wild build, let JM Race Engines help take you there.